Hello, my name is Christian Lasslett, and I am a professor of criminology here at Ulster University. And this video is just to give you a little taste test of one of the modules that you can study on our Masters in Criminology and Criminal Justice. And this module is known as Global Landscapes of Crime and Justice. So let's jump straight into it. Now that lady there is Gulnara Karamova, and the gentleman beside her is the French actor Gerard Depardieu. Okay, I don't know why I was bobbing my head there because actually I don't like that kind of music. But if you're thinking this module is about crimes against music, like me, you'd be wrong. This crime is actually about transnational criminality and how transnational crime takes advantage of global landscapes in order to effectively prosecute their crimes. So then you might ask, what's this got to do with her? Well, that lady is Gulnara Karamova, as I mentioned, and she is the daughter, or was a daughter, of the president of Uzbekistan, Islam Karimov, who was known as a fairly ruthless dictator during his reign, which lasted until 2016 when he passed away. And whilst her father had the top job, Karimova ran a criminal syndicate that took control of certain lucrative sectors in Uzbekistan, and her syndicate also acted as a gatekeeper, so that if companies wanted to come in and get on the action in Uzbekistan as a up and coming economy, in some of the cases they would have to go through her. And in order to go through her, they had to provide her with the right incentive. And that meant high US currency, lots of it. But in order to be able to get that currency, you need a bit of an apparatus. And that's where global landscapes comes into action. And firstly, you will probably need corporate structures, preferably anonymous ones. You don't want your name in the share registry. And guess what? There are a number of countries who come from very reputable parts of the world who will offer you that particular service. And so Gulnara shopped around and got access to a number of these different companies that she set up in places like the United Arab Emirates, in Switzerland, so near the Alps, in various British overseas territories like Gibraltar and the British Virgin Islands. And she was able to set up these companies. They came from relatively salubrious European locations, but they all had the charm to them that her name wasn't on the share register and no one could see who really owned them. And that allowed her to therefore operate quite seamlessly behind anonymous companies, and they would receive the bribes and her hands would not be dirty. But you've got your company, but what are you going to do with the money? You can't go and put it in your pockets, and you can't shove it under your bed, or you'd be advised to do that. So you need international financial infrastructure. And again, Gulnara found a candy shop of financial institutions who wanted her business. And so you see here, you have a range of banks that she used. Just in case you're one of the bank's libel lawyers, I'm not accusing any of these banks of participating in money laundering in Gulnara Karimova's case, but these are all banks that have handled her money or have been involved in companies that she's tied to. And the key banks she, Karimova, used was Britain's Standard Chartered Bank, and Switzerland's Lombard Odier Bank. And one thing you'll notice from that little picture, infographic over there next to my bobbing head, is that a number of these banks which she used have formed. They've been admitted guilt before of having engaged in a bit of a criminal activity themselves. That doesn't mean that they're involved in criminal activity this time, libel lawyers, but it does mean that they have formed, and they were also Standard Chartered, Lombard Odier. They're all handling tens of millions of dollars that proved in the end to be bribe money. So now you've got your company, your anonymous company, and your salubrious European location. You got your bank, again in a salubrious European location, so you hope you're spotting a pattern here. Then you also need someone to pay you the bribe, and salubrious European location coming to the rescue again. Now again, not all the brands that you'll see up there have been found guilty of paying bribes to Gulnara Karimova. I want to premise that to begin with, but a number have. So a number of telecommunication companies, in order to access Uzbekistan's markets, paid hundreds of millions of dollars of bribes to Karimova through that complicated international framework I just pointed you towards. And they include Vimpelcom from the Netherlands, Teliasonera from Sweden, all in the squeaky clean places of the world, according to the sort of Transparency International Perceptions rankings. So that's interesting to note. And also MTS from Russia, to just name the key examples there, and they've all admitted that they actually did pay the bribes to her, and so really, I guess this is a long way of saying what this module is about is looking at different forms of transnational crime. This is really about corruption. There's many other kinds that we'll look at, from fraud through to things like the weapons industry, and we're looking at how transnational criminals use the chocolate shop of global landscapes to get access to all the tools they need in order to seamlessly execute their crimes anonymously, so they can get their money and then shoot it through the funnels of the global financial system into yachts and various other paraphernalia that transnational criminals like to spend their money on, usually London mansions and things like that. And so we're going to look at how they set up their global operations to execute and conceal their crimes. And then we're going to look at the jurisdictions that offer them these tools, and try and find out why they offer them these tools. So why is it that Switzerland is known as the banking secrecy capital of the world? If you want to anonymously engage in a bit of financial crime, like tax evasion, Switzerland's got your back. Why is that? We're going to explore that. Why is it that if you want to set up an anonymous company to do a bit of the old bribery, you go to the British Virgin Islands? We're going to look into that. We're also going to look at what's happening globally to try and tackle this, looking at what law enforcement is doing to try and tackle these very ripe opportunity structures, and also looking at what civil society is doing. And this is all about, really digging into the intricate technical details of how this all works, because that will really help you build the kind of skills that you need to work in the kind of really exciting areas that are really looking at these kind of issues. So this is everything from working in auditing compliance, through to working with law enforcement, regulators, economic crime units, through to the awesome civil society organisations right now who are really trying to expose some of this stuff that's going on. So people like Global Witness and the Tax Justice Network. So if this is the kind of thing that really interests you, you should follow the the link there, and you can there access our prospectus. You can look at, it'll tell you a lot of things. I'll just jump over. You can check out the other modules that you're going to study. You can look at our pedagogic methods, and also you can apply. So I hope you'll check that out, and I hope you've enjoyed this little taster. I hope that you will consider signing up for our master's program here at Ulster University in Criminology and Criminal Justice, and I will see you next academic year.